That's right, Broncos country. Let's hear it, Broncos country. Let's hear it, Broncos country. 4 wins in a row, baby.
Let's go!
Look, I had a lot of Vikings fans all really mad at me in the comment section of the video, saying I don't know football, saying I don't know what I'm talking about, saying that the Broncos are mid. Man, I'll tell you what, I don't know everything about football, but I know that 21 points is more than 20. Just gonna throw that out there.
Where's that abacus? Where's Jared? We need that abacus.
We need that the hibiscus. Yes, the hibiscus. Hey guys, put your comments in the chat. Let's celebrate tonight. I want to hear from you guys what you thought about the game tonight, and we'll go through that. And John and I will break down everything that we saw as well. So, John, glad you're here, man. Hope you're ready for it. It's going to be a good show. With that being said, guys, stick around. We'll see you on the other side.
Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news.
Well, Broncos country, it has been 5 weeks since the Broncos have lost a game. Yes, with the bye week in there, 4 in a row. John, how's your happy whiskey doing?
Oh, it's wonderful, Kevin. Thank you for asking. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know what world we're living in right now, what alternate reality. We're the hottest team in the NFL with win streak. I mean, coming off beating the previous hottest team in the NFL. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Where am I, Kevin? Where am I?
I don't know, but you know the last time the Broncos had a 4-game win streak?
I honestly don't.
I looked 2016, buddy. 2016, the Simeon year is when we had, and we went 4-0. It was the first 4 games of the season, and then we all know what happened there. We were 6-2 with Simeon, and then we didn't make the playoffs. So maybe the reverse is happening here, where we started really bad.
I don't like this.
Now we got this 4-game win streak in the middle, and we're going to ride this high into the end of the season versus, falling off in the middle of the season. I don't know, man. There's some things to talk about tonight. The offense is still a big concern, but we won the game.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters. We got 21 points. No matter how you do it, kick 5 field goals. Fine by me. Will Lutz having a huge bounce back game. I mean, once again, people were ready to cut the guy a week ago, and here he is being the savior of special teams for sure for us. So, man,
this is exactly what I was hoping to see. We were talking about, Will Lutz having a bad game and then bouncing back and being really solid for us for, 5, 6, 7 games in a row there. Really bad game. And then goes out there last night, and we were all holding our breath with the first field goal. The second one, we're like, okay, maybe he's figured it out. By the third one, we're like, okay, Will Lutz has got this. Yeah. Well, by that point, it's like Will Lutz has got this. At the end of the game, it was like, just send Will Lutz out there, get the field goal, save some time on the clock. Don't just first down, just go get it. And then we got the touchdown to Cortland Sutton there. So, geez, man, I don't. Let's just start back because there's so many things to talk about here. We want to hear from you all in the comments, what you thought of the game. Let's hear Go Broncos from you all. Hit that share button. Make sure you're subscribing to our channel below. The link is scrolling across the bottom there, so make sure you go subscribe to that. That helps us out a ton. But, John, let's rewind it a little bit. Going back to the start of the game, right before kickoff, there we are, ready for the game to start. We're on a 3-game win streak. Vikings are in town. Sunday Night Football on a 5-game win streak. What are you thinking in that moment, man?
Honestly, not really following the Vikings much this year. Hearing story, obviously we know that they have Josh Dobbs and, the mini streak that he's on with them. And it seems like every time he goes to a new team, he's pulling rabbits out of his hat. And it was interesting because it felt like the Broncos were on such a roll, but then we're going up against a team that was on an even hotter roll than the Broncos and a fan base that equally wanted to just show that their team is legit, right? So I almost started the day feeling like it was going to be all about the Broncos. Can they sustain it? And it was almost the other way around. It was like the Vikings are just so hot. Like it's going to be an interesting matchup, but I didn't know what to expect. The other thing too, the more and more I was hearing about this Vikings defense, the more and more I was getting concerned because we talk about how much of a turnaround this Broncos defense had from their struggles early on, which we don't have to talk much about. We probably will, but this Vikings defense has had an equally impressive turnaround for this season compared to previous seasons. So I was concerned, and then just excited to get the game started. And then, the afternoon came around. And it's like, I think this is the first time in, I don't know since how long, that I took a nap in the middle of a Sunday. Like, I'm not a nap person, but like, there's nothing wrong. I'm just waiting. And I've never related more to the Sunday night anthem of Carrie Underwood, "Waiting All Day for Sunday Night," because you get the pregame song. It's like, let's go. It's kickoff. It's time to show
time.
up. And I was just so excited. And Kev, you got to be there. You got to experience this. That just when they panned into the stadium, it was already rocking. And I could tell that the fans showed up for this game.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is, Vikings fans travel really well. They're just like Packers fans, right? So the Packers game, we talked about it. Well, no,
that's offend a lot of people.
No, this is a compliment. Like, Packers fans travel well, and the stadium was, I think, just 50% Packers fans. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was crazy. Maybe not 50%, but 40%. I mean, there was a lot of cheeseheads in that stadium, right? You could hear it.
Yeah. I thought you meant yesterday.
No. I'm talking about the Green Bay game.
Okay.
So it was yesterday was a lot like that. Vikings fans travel very well. I would say though that Vikings fans, and one of my best friend's wife is a Vikings fan. She does not fall into this category. So Tasha, if you hear this, I'm not referring to you. But I found that the Vikings fans were a little more obnoxious than the Green Bay fans, like just in the way they were screaming. But look, I mean, it was tough because when the Broncos offense was on the field, it was still loud. Okay. It was still loud. We couldn't get the crowd to quiet down because of all of the Vikings fans. And so that had me a little concerned because, we talk about the home field advantage and everything. And when your team travels as well as the Vikings do, it kind of takes away some of that edge, right? But what was really cool to see was when, the Broncos defense was on the field, man, Broncos fans made up for it. Like, they were loud. The very first incomplete of the game, I haven't heard an incomplete chat like that loud since 2015. Honest to God. I was blown away. I even talked to the guy like, holy crap, that was loud, But yeah, a lot of people were very, just like what we're saying, we're not sure how the game's going to go because we don't know what kind of offense we're going to get. And if you had told me that Russell Wilson would throw for over 250 yards and we'd have to throw the ball, 35, 36, 37?
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I would just tell you a big picture. If you had told me that before the game, I would have said then that means we lost because that means we had no run game and we're just playing catch up. And that would have been bad news to me, right? Russ threw for 35 times, almost 250 yards. Our run game sucked. No, run game didn't suck. Our run game was non-existent.
And
yet
it was abysmal.
We won. We won.
Yeah. Here we are, sitting at 5-5. Again, biggest win streak in the NFL right now, the Denver Broncos. Never thought I would say that statement this year. Let's put it that way.
Nope, not this year. Not this year. So let's talk about that. First quarter. Broncos go out there and talk me through the first drive of the game, man. Broncos won the coin toss, so they deferred. What do we see early on from the Vikings there, man?
I mean, early on, once again, first drive of the game, starting with a turnover. And I mean, this guy, we're going to talk about him, I think, a lot today, Kevin. But
yes, we are.
Juan McMillan or McMillian. I'm going to call him McMillian. It's not the correct way to say it. I understand that. But until
Money Man
guy proves that he should not be in the million category of just every game, he is just phenomenal. I don't know where this guy came from. I was excited enough to get a 3-and-out on that first drive, but to get another turnover, put our offense in a position where it's like, hey, we're in scoring range already. We can kick a field goal from here if we needed to. I wish we wouldn't, but we'll talk about that in a second. But I think we might as well get this out of the way now, Kevin. Maybe we'll touch on it again later. But part of that fumble, and some will say it wasn't necessary. I don't know if that play goes the same way if he doesn't do it, but Kareem Jackson, once again, lowering the helmet, not looking to, that he's just coming in for a big hit. And he's talked about it. He said, that's my style of play. Like, if you're going to keep me on the team, you're going to have to expect it. And it's like the NFL is like, no, that's not how this works anymore. You just can't do that. And we saw today, yes, it wasn't a flag on the play. I think everyone can agree that it should have been.
Right.
And now he's gone for 4 games, and I'd be shocked to see if his appeal is successful and it gets lowered at all.
I think it's not going to get lowered this time. They did that last time. I think after this one, they're just not going to do it. This is the National Soft Football League. It's
not the same league as it was 5 years ago.
It's not. Now, a question for you, what do you think, if it had him in Dobbs, if it had been the running back or any other player, would they still be upset, or was it because it was Dobbs, even though he was not under center, he was playing as running back? Do you think, they're still kind of looking at it through the lens of he's a quarterback?
I think that conversation could be had if it was another player and, they didn't have a history of this, but literally he just come off a 2-game suspension, and that's the first play he has, the first impact he has in the game is him, in this day and age with the NFL rules, it's an illegal hit. And I'm not surprised when I woke up to see that suspension today, but it's just so frustrating because of the injuries we have in the safety position. So I'm really frustrated. I can't say I'm surprised because of the style of player that he is. It's just,
it's rough, man.
What do we do? Where do we go from here? I don't know. But
he's a playmaker. He's a player. Look, we won those 2 games without him. It's not to say that, we're totally screwed by any means. It's just he is a very intense player. And he's the guy that
he doesn't apologize for it very clearly either.
And I respect that. He's like, this when he says it's my style of play, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna fight my damnedest. I want more guys like that on the team. I'm not saying I want the Broncos to become a dirty team by any means. And no way do I think Kareem Jackson's going out there to purposely hurt people.
No, I don't think he's either.
No, he's trying to play a tough football game to get the stop for his team. It's 3rd and 1. And as he said in his comments, and it's 3rd and 1, you're trying to stop them from getting any inch forward, because it is that close and it's that huge of a play. So he's going out there with his full force. And so, what are you wanting him to do? Do you want him to move away from the quarterback, or the player, hit him softer? And then if he doesn't go down, then you can bitch at him for not, tackling well enough. I don't know. I wish, I love the energy he brings to the team.
I agree. I love the energy. It's just frustrating because he's been in the league long enough to see a lot of these rule changes. Clearly just hasn't adapted to that. And again, it doesn't seem like he wants to. That's how he's learned the game. That's how he grew up playing the game. And it's gotten him this far. So he's like, hey, I'm just going to play the way I know how to play. And it's not like he's going out and doing this on every single play either. The rest of the game, we didn't see any of this. It's not like someone said, hey, you shouldn't do that. And he was like, okay, I won't do that the rest of the game. He knows. It was an instinctual play, I'd imagine, for him. And, here we are. We're without our starting safety and our backup safety. I don't know when. I think PJ Locke's got 1 more game he's expected to miss. So, we're down to our 3rd string at that position, which is, unfortunately, it's going to hurt us. And we can talk about that more in a bit. But I think, have we talked about Kareem Jackson enough? Should we move on?
I think so. Look, I'm
no, we haven't.
I'm proud of him. Just basically, I'm just saying, I'm proud of him. The way he's handling himself through this, I like his intensity, and hopefully the team can continue to feed off of that moving forward for sure.
Okay. I'm also hearing a lot of people saying he should be cut because of this, because he can't stay on the field because of suspension. He's become a liability on the field. Sean Payton called him out before, beginning of the week. Hey, look, we have a good thing going. Don't mess this up. Now, it didn't. He wasn't ejected from the game. But I think had they thrown a flag there, I don't know if they throw a flag and then they review it. Is he out of the game? Do they toss him at that point?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably
At
not.
this point, it's
Probably
hard to
not.
tell in the NFL.
Yeah, it depends on the mood of the person watching the tape at that time.
Yeah.
And the alignment of the sun, moon, and what you, John, specifically had for lunch that day. Those all come into factor.
Hopefully it wasn't
when they're making this.
But it is interesting, like comparing the NFL to college, because college, they're going back and they're looking at that play. They're calling a targeting penalty after the play. They're kicking them out of the game. Where the NFL, I think it requires a flag to be thrown for them to review something like that. So the fact that the flag wasn't thrown was a huge no call in the Broncos' favor, which we've been getting. I mean, lately it feels like we've been lucky on the penalty side of the ball as far as the big penalties.
We're due. We're due for that, though. We have been on the bad end of that, receiving end of that stick for so long that we're due for them to be like, you know what? Okay, these guys, maybe we'll keep the flag tucked away for that one,
Keep that tucked away. Throw it for the 12 man on the field against the Bills.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Count them.
That's karma. That's penalty karma, I guess.
Jeez.
But yeah. We're gonna miss Kareem Jackson. We're gonna miss our starting safety.
Oh yeah.
That is a big concern moving forward. But sitting here at 5-5, I mean it.
Yeah. Do you have enough trust in Vance Joseph to be able to scheme a defense, to overcome that?
I don't know, to be honest. We've had guys like Damari Mathis in there, Turner Yell at safety, and I think right now he's the fill-in guy until Locke is healthy, which I think we talked about today. We're expecting one more week of him out, so we're gonna have to deal with it at least against the Browns this week. So moving forward, I'm concerned. I hope that we can find someone else to step up, like a Fabian Moreau, like a Jaquan McMillan. I'm not saying one of those guys, but another person that we just comes out of nowhere and just steps up, and all of a sudden a week or two from now, we're like, this guy is the reason that our defense is succeeding right now. So I don't know. I'm so baffled by those two guys that it's just like, sure, why couldn't that happen again? These guys come out of nowhere. So who says we can't find another person in that secondary?
No, that's fair. Well, I look at McMillan.
It's McMillan.
But yeah, I know it's McMillan. Or
everyone's gonna be like, it's not how you say his name. I don't care.
I don't care. He is McMillan.
McMillan in my heart.
The way he's playing, that's a good nickname. But man, I keep thinking about how he came out of nowhere. And just the way he stepped up, and now it's like, man, I really hope we find a way to keep him growing and keep him on this team, because that's a guy with some energy that can really help sustain this defense moving forward. Because that's a big question right now is this sustainable for the defense? We keep talking about, the Broncos aren't going to get another game where they get 5 turnovers. And the next week, Broncos aren't going to get another game where they get 4 turnovers. And then the next week, I got 3 turnovers, is this sustainable?
Yeah.
So we need somebody to help solidify or keep the defense solid so those numbers can keep going the way they're going.
Yeah. I mean, him and Moreau are just like the unsung heroes of this defense. And the more we talk about them, they are the sung heroes at this point, especially McMillan. Fumble recovery, first drive of the game, then later on that interception, just two of the 3 turnovers he was directly involved in. And who was it? Was it Jonathan Cooper or Browning? Was it Browning that forced the fumble in that first drive?
It might have been. I can't remember.
Either. I do have it right here, but moving on from that first defensive drive, I mean, just what a way to set your offense up for success. And then our offense gets on the field, and it's like the first play was like an immediate first down to Judy, I believe, like 10, 12, 15-yard pass. And then they just disappeared. That was frustrating. What happened there, Kevin? You were there. You saw it.
Yeah, dude, it's the same thing that we've been seeing. I don't know if it's the offense says, okay, we didn't, or we won the coin toss. We're going to defer. We don't go first. So let's take an extra 10 minutes to figure out our lives. And they're like, oh crap. Like, oh, wait, we weren't ready yet. What's happening? And I would have figured that as big into situational football as Sean Payton is, I think he said at some point during the preseason, during training camp, that there were about, I want to say, like 25 situations that they rehearsed, and got experience in just, the more common things and some more uncommon, but things that, Sean Payton wants them to be prepared for. So I would have thought after looking at last week and getting an early turnover, on that first drive, that's something they would have worked on the offense with of, hey, hurry up there, get that momentum. You're in scoring range, get some points on the board early, get that touchdown now, right? But it was the exact same situation as we had the week before. We go out there and the offense just kind of,
Yeah.
So yeah, we get an early field goal, but at the same time, that takes so much wind out of the crowd. It takes, props to the players for not letting that really affect them. A couple times, and we'll talk about it later on during the game. Right. So they just, they took the points. They didn't do anything stupid with the football. They didn't force it, which is good. 0 turnovers, 0 interceptions from Russell Wilson. So they're at least keeping the ball safe,
Yes. Huge.
But
which is huge. That's as frustrating as it is not to get the yards, not to get the touchdowns, all that stuff. I think what is severely underlooked is the lack of turnovers, especially from Russ. I mean, look, 4 interceptions this year to I believe 19 touchdowns. Yeah. Best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL. He's safe with the ball. So, I mean, call it a game manager. I don't know what you want to call it. But look, Broncos fans cannot be sad about this because this is what we have been asking for. We have been saying, hey, our defense is very good. Let's have an offense that can complement them, at least get a minimum of 20 points. In this case, 21 points in a game to win the game. So it's not pretty. It's not great to talk about, but it can apparently get the job done in situations. But yeah, I will say, and similar to the Bills game, coming out with them starting with the ball to be up 3-0, I was thrilled with that. I know a lot of people are like, well, we only got 17 yards on that drive. But okay, that's fine. To be up 7-0 in that situation, talking about going up against a super hot team, it felt great. And then the next drive, our defense going out there and just, again, stopping them. Yeah, we didn't get a turnover, but hey, we forced a punt in 6 plays. So
yeah, we did.
I want to go back to our first offensive drive just for a second.
Sure.
What is the one? I admit that we have been privileged this year to start the first, essentially half of the year to get essentially a touchdown on every opening drive. But why is it that we can only get a touchdown when we have to go 70 or 80 yards? It's like when we get short field on the first drive, they're like, wait, we didn't script it this way. We weren't supposed to have only 40 yards to go. We can't figure this one out. It's just, it's situational. I get it, but it's just interesting that we seem to be able to do it when it's, a punt or a kickoff, but for some reason we can't do it on a short field.
I think this is one of the things where if you're Sean Payton, you are really stressing that. You are really highlighting that. I think not to say the players are just saying, yeah, coach, whatever, we won. It doesn't really matter. We won 4 in a row. We're fine. But I'm worried that that's going to burn them in one of these games coming up where we do get that turnover ratio that we really want, like we have the last few games. We don't really capitalize on those chances, and we're not able to put together something at the end of the game to come back from that.
Yeah.
And that's where the coaches are going to look at the players and be like, this is what we're talking about. You're having those opportunities, and it's going to burn you if you keep, wasting and squandering those opportunities. So that's why I was just really hoping that when we got that turnover again, on that first drive, I said, okay, this is where they can show that they've learned and made adjustments and really driven the point home over the week that you've got to take a chance, take advantage of that when you go out there, and they just weren't able to do it. Now, look, we can't totally complain because we won the game, right? And we drove down the field when it mattered to get that touchdown, and before half we drove down the field as well, and the clutch moments they came through, but it's like you can't always rely on that. Like, what if the ball bounces the wrong way? during some part of the game. And now instead of keeping this a 1-2 score game, now it's like 2-3 score game, so I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's a different story. It's different. And what you just described was very nearly what we had yesterday, right? A game in which we had all the chances and we just couldn't put it together. And like you said, it is a different conversation when you win the game versus when you lose a close one like this. So, if you're a Vikings fan, you're talking about that is like, now is Josh Dobbs really the answer? Because it's a whole different conversation when you're on the losing side of a close game like this. And we've had plenty of those over the years, Kev. So it's just
nice
on the right
beginning of the season, lost 2 games with a combined
exactly.
amount of 3 points. So, it's like, oh, this is what it's like to, win a game by 1 or 2 points. Oh, I like this, I prefer it to be more, but we have more points than the other team, and that clock says 0. So we're going to take it. Right. I will quickly say that I appreciate God's humor in the game. I don't know if you saw, there's been spitting rain throughout the night, but as soon as that game was over, the downpour just started. Really? And I was like, oh, it's all the Vikings tears. It's all the Vikings fans' tears that, the wind is blowing them around, Seriously, the moment the game ended, we walked out of our seats in the tunnel, and by the time we were in line to get going, we looked out there and just downpouring in the stadium. Like, if that had happened 15 minutes sooner, I don't know what the end of the game would have been like, because that would have made things really dicey. But I was like, I was like, oh, it's the Vikings fans' tears. Oh, okay, there you go.
That's awesome.
So, back to the real topic at hand, is the game itself. But
yeah, I mean, I guess moving on from there, we force a punt. It's like, okay, everything's starting to go in the Broncos' direction. And then, the first drive was not, it was an indication of things to come, because they were flat. They were flat basically this first half almost, except for the last 2 drives. But 3 and out, and then the momentum really felt like it was going in the Vikings' direction. It really felt like, we might be on the verge of a blowout very quickly here, because they get the ball back. They go 3 and out, we go 3 and out, and all of a sudden they're scoring touchdowns. 5-minute drive, 10 plays, 58 yards, 65 yards. Sorry.
Most of it was rushing too.
Yeah,
they were just running up our gut.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to give a lot of credit to the defense in the game, and rightfully so. But that rush defense has been susceptible this year, and this Vikings team is not. It's just they have not been great at rushing the ball this year. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but for a while there, it looked like Cam Akers was going to make a resurgence as their lead back, and then he goes down. Alexander Madison has not been the guy for them this year, and I think they got over 190 yards. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Rushing 175.
175. I mean, that has been the problem all year. At least from a defensive standpoint, has been the rush game. And it's frustrating. And we're coming up against a Browns team that knows how to run the ball, and they're in a similar situation. Their number 1 guy is down. Imagine if Nick Chubb is in this game. Good Lord, I'd be terrified. They still know how to rush the ball. They have Kareem Hunt back. They have Ford. And we won't step on the toes of the pregame show much here, but they got to figure. That is the one part of the defense that they got to figure out.
Yeah, because if I'm the Browns, I'm looking to say, how do we end this 4-game win streak in Denver on the road, right? And I'm looking at the Vikings, and I'm saying we run up their gut until they stop us, and until some change. You saw it here. There were times where they did 4, 5, 6 runs in a row, and it was all 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. And each and every one of those. So it was dare us to run the ball down the middle, because we're going to make it happen, and they were left and right, or straight ahead. But that's you're right. That is a big problem area, and that's what took a lot of the I don't say the momentum from the team, but a lot of the energy out of the crowd as well. I'd say quarter 2 and quarter 3, it was rough in the stadium, because like I was telling you before the show, Broncos defense goes on the field, man, the home crowd is pumped, right? We are excited to see what these guys do. We are praying for another turnover, some hard hits. I don't know if we're calling this the no-fly zone 3.0. People are calling McMillan the next DJ Harris. I don't know.
Who's the next DJ Harris? Wait, what's it?
McMillan.
You mean Chris?
I know.
Did you say you mean Chris Harris?
Chris Harris. Thank you.
One of the best cornerbacks on the Broncos of all time.
That guy, the one I have the autographed jersey for. Yeah, Chris Harris Jr. That's what
actually not a terrible comparison because didn't Chris Harris start out in the slot? Am I saying that up too?
Yes, he did. He did.
Yeah, I mean that's the way they turn. Imagine saying that. Oh my god, it's like a broken record on the show, just going back 4 weeks. It seems like, but you go back 4 weeks and say I'm excited to see this defense on the field.
yeah, I'm excited. Furthermore, I'm excited to see the defense on the field against a team that's on a 5-game win streak.
Oh my gosh. But you're right.
No, I've been like, no, can I just cover my eyes during that part? Like I never, I always watch, right. Like, am I not?
You're 100% right. They have regained our trust on defense, I think is a fair way to say that, especially after this game. Give them the run game. Yes, they beat us there, but they didn't beat us when it counted. And also, when this defense has been susceptible, it feels like it just comes in like these chunk like drives. It's just like, I don't know. And maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but it felt like they were just in hurry up. And every time they scored yesterday, it was like, even though it was a 5-minute drive, it felt like it was, all right, they're going and they're going and they're going. And it just like, we couldn't stop them. And that's how it felt against the Bills when they scored last week. It just felt like their touchdowns and their scoring drives were quick. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe the feeling it is when this happens to us.
Well, I think what you're seeing is these teams that are coming to Denver are taking advantage of the altitude against us. Because even when you're used to the altitude, like it still has an impact on you. Like, you can be totally adjusted to this and it still is going to, tire you out. And so I think they went out there and they're trying that hurry up because, it worked. The Bills did it. It worked for them when they were doing that. So they're going to try it here and it worked on us here. Our guys are maybe getting a little more winded, but we don't do that ourselves. The Broncos don't do that. Not very often anyway. And I'm always wondering, like, there's so much emphasis on we're 1 mile above sea level. It's all over the scoreboard. It's all throughout the stadium, but we never really seem to take advantage of that ourselves. So I don't know, man, but you're right. Like that's another thing that they do against us.
Are you saying that teams are picking the drives that they're going to be like, this is when we go, this is when we take the altitude to our advantage?
No. No, but I think that they do know that it has an impact on us one way or the other, whether it's the altitude or we just can't keep up. I don't know, because it works against us.
I don't know. I can't believe it's the altitude working against. How could that not be an advantage for us?
Because I want to find an argument that will make us do it ourselves. Like, why can we not do that? I think we would benefit from more of a hurry up offense.
I do agree with that. I will not disagree there. I just don't think that's Sean Payton's style. I think he wants to be a methodical, these are going to be long-winded drives when they are successful. When they're not, it's 3 now, which is very frustrating, but, and which makes it a very short drive. And I think his style is that we aren't going to go 3 and out every freaking time. I think he's probably pretty frustrated by that.
To say, because 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, like.
Yeah, so they go down. Back to the point, Vikings go down. They score very quickly. By the way, oh my gosh. I mean, Justin Simmons deserves all the praise in this game. But that first drive, that first touchdown, what happened to him on that one?
It looked like he tripped. Looks like he just tripped.
Yeah, it was unlucky. It was a bad play. It was just a bad play, and he got exploited. And it was a wide open touchdown to a guy I'd never heard of before.
No, from what I saw in the replay, Justin Simmons tripped.
He went to it was like at the line of scrimmage. He went to press up on him, and then he got awkward, and he got
If he didn't trip, that wouldn't have been a touchdown.
Yep. No,
Yeah, that
100%.
ball wouldn't even thrown that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. Unfortunately, the way that coverage was, it was like, if you mess up, there's no one to cover you.
Yeah, that's zone defense.
Yeah.
That's zone defense for you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that one in particular. Yeah. I mean, he would. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. They score quickly. We go out 3-and-out, and then all of a sudden they have the ball again and they're driving. And I'm not kidding when I felt in my heart that this was about to be a blowout game. I was like, uh-oh, our defense is starting to look like they're regressing, and their offense has figured us out. And here we are. Our offense can't do anything. Our defense is losing it. And props to the defense because I thought for sure we were going down 14-3 on that drive. And for them to force a field goal it at least stopped the momentum for the Vikings. And that's when, thank God between that holding them to a field goal there. And then it was the Vance Joseph bend don't break mentality, which is important. I mean, we talked about it, and a lot of people are negative about it, but it was key in this game. And then our offense answered up very shortly after with a field goal, which to be 10-6 at that point, Vikings up 10, us with 6 points. It was a different feeling. It was like, okay, this game has not gone the way we wanted it to, aside from the first turnover and the first drive on defense. But to be 10-6 going to halftime was like, okay, this is something we can recover from.
For sure.
And then we stop them. And then all of a sudden, here we go, final drive of the first half. And we get in field goal range.
Very easily, too.
We already talked about it once. Will Lutz. We drove that easily in the field goal range. And it was like, what team is this right now?
Yeah. Well, that and the last drive of the game with P. Ryan just be like, catch, run, catch, run, catch, run. You're like, where have you been all game? You had one carry for 7 yards and they haven't thrown it to you. And now you go, I mean, better late than never. But same thing. It's like, you made it look easy. I was like, do that other times.
Can we do this more?
I'm not asking for every drive, maybe just one or two other drives as well, so that it's like 28-20, 20, or 30-20, I don't know, just saying.
Yeah, we got that ball with a little over a minute left, and it's like, oh, you know what? We have a chance here. If we get a field goal, that's huge. If we don't, not the end of the world. Again, we can recover, but to go in down 1 point at halftime with the way that the game was feeling at time, for a stretch there, that I had a lot more hope at halftime than I was expecting in the middle in between basically the first and the second quarter.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that transition there, because we moved the ball in 7 plays, 46 yards, moved the ball at the end of the second quarter to get that field goal. And then here we are again. I think we've won the coin toss in every game except for one game, maybe 2.
We talked about that.
And here we are receiving the ball to start the second half, but we just put together a really solid drive to end the first. And I know part of that is the defense is just trying to make sure that we don't get a touchdown. Like, that's what they're more concerned about more than anything. So they're playing more of that prevent defense, but still, like, we moved the ball, we got into a rhythm. And so I was hoping we'd take that into overtime or into halftime. We'd say, cool, let's do that again. Like, basically same thing. They go out there, not just 4 plays, but -2 yards on that drive. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, what the hell is going on?
Well, and here's the thing. The game plan for this week on offense was very clear. I mean, what I learned on Sunday morning was the Vikings rush defense is very good. They and by rush defense, I mean rushing the passer. Their blitz packages are ridiculous. And they highlighted it during the game many times. They have like 7, 8, 9 guys up on the line of scrimmage. You have no idea who's coming, who's going back in coverage. So it was very clear to me that our game plan was the exact thing that we have all been dreading this whole season. It was wide receiver screens, these bubble screens, these weird screens that just aren't working for us because we don't have, in my opinion, and I am the GM of the Broncos, so you would think I would make these changes, but we don't have the personnel to make these blocks on the exterior of to allow these things to work. They either get through us or we get a holding penalty every time. And you saw that with Atkins. Atkins has been and nothing against him. This will be against him, but I don't totally blame him. But he's been inactive most games this year, and they specifically activated him. My suspicion is for these plays.
Yep.
And what does he do? The first opportunity he gets, we have a huge Mims, catch and run for like 15 yards, something like that. And he gets a holding penalty. It's like you literally were brought in for this situation and you get a holding penalty. And rightfully so, because he held the guy that probably would have made the tackle and you would have kept it to, a 5-yard game instead of 15. But, it's so frustrating because we very clearly came into this game with that as our game plan on offense. And I get it because of the way that they rush and we were trying to exploit the way that they play on defense. But for most of this game, it just did not work.
No.
But so that's my soapbox. That's my soapbox on that. It was a weird, not weird, but I get where the game plan came from, but we just don't have the ability to do that. It seems like.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're missing Tim Patrick.
Oh yeah.
He would have been.
We talked about that 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 games.
It's just,
about that.
Man. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I hope he's recovering well. I'd love to see him in a Broncos uniform again, but we'll see what happens with that. But I think we're missing that big, wide receiver type of feel out there that can go and make those blocks, right? So, in the meantime, we're going to keep trying wide receiver screens, and
it's just
hope that maybe one of these times it works. I don't know.
It's so frustrating because Russ has like such a high completion percentage, but it's like he's throwing it 2 yards. I think he might be the lowest starting quarterback in the league right now as far as yards per attempt. And it's because these are the game plans we're going in with, and it's like even on the plays that's not the designed play, it's like he looks at his first option and he's been told if the first option is there, go to the check down, go to the running back, look for the first option, go to the dump off. And it's just frustrating because it felt like the Vikings just had it covered for most drives in this.
They did
90% of drives in this game. It felt like. Yeah.
No, you could see the number of times that Russ wanted to either hold the ball on, hold on to the ball for a little bit longer, to take that deep shot. I think, because of the pass rush the Vikings have, the offensive line was in that position where they're trying not to let people through, but they're also trying not to get holding penalties, right? So Russ is very limited on time. And I almost kind of like that for Russ because he is notorious for holding on to the ball too long. Look at your first read. If it's not there, get rid of it. Don't even look, just get rid of it because like Russ, you're taking too long. Like if your first read's right there, go, just dump off. Put the ball in the hand of the playmakers, and it's working, So, I mean, yes, his completion percentage is good. His yards per game is good. But when you look at yards per attempt, it's low. Okay, but we're putting that ball in the hands of the playmakers. We're not putting it all on Russ to take 5-6 deep shots a game. And so we are kind of.
We're not even talking about deep shots, Kev. We're not talking about deep. We're talking about just like passes that go over 7, 8, 9 yards. Like a deep in, like a deep, a post, like just normal plays that you see in football, and we just don't take
versus them. flat dump off.
It's either these flat throws, these bubble screens, these dump off passes, or it's we have got to save a lot of time to talk about this guy, or it's these long passes that just the receiver makes the play, and guess who that receiver is? It's Courtland Sutton, and he makes the play. I don't care if I'm Russ, I'm throwing it to him. Give him that play 5 times a game. Just throw it up there. He's gonna make a spectacular catch.
Yep.
We saw at least 3 of them, maybe 4. I can think of 3, but I feel like there was a 4th one in there that was just amazing yesterday. But we have to have something in the middle too. We need some of those deep in cut routes. I don't know,
those 10, 15 yard the middle of the play or middle of the field plays. I don't know. We're just not getting open. I don't know if Russ isn't trusting himself. Because. I don't remember if I don't remember this correctly, but he's very accurate down the field, maybe not so much in the middle of the field, so I don't know if it's him just being extra cautious with the ball
It
or
could
what
be.
the case is. But look, I mean, it is working to a degree. Now, we had 0 run game, which was a huge
That was a
problem
big.
because run defense, but what, Javonte Williams had like 5 rush attempts in the first half or something like that.
It was. I mean, 15 total rushes. McLaughlin had one and done basically, 1 yard.
1 yard.
We threw it to McLaughlin 5 times, but even when he was catching it, it was like it was going back to that what we just talked about. It was not, the play was not there. You kind of give it to him hoping he's going to make magic happen, and it just didn't happen yesterday for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Javonte, 11 carries, 37 yards. Hard. We're supposed to be this team that is built about running, and they can't get the run game going. I mean, that seemed to be the Viking strategy, was rush the passer when he's passing and stop the run when we're running. And it was all about our front seven is going to beat yours, basically, was their strategy. And there were times, I'll be honest, there were times where we exploited that. We had a couple times where it was like, they're bringing these guys and this is the coverage they're given, like, and it's just gonna be there. There was one where both guys on the outside went up and then cut back in, and they both were wide open. Like, he could have picked a side and it was going to be an easy first down, 15-yard completion. So I wanted to see more of that, exploiting what the defense was doing. But it seemed like they out-game planned us, their defense versus our offense.
Yeah. I'd say that's accurate.
For most of the game.
It was very tough to watch. I'm sure from home it was just as tough to watch. You had to listen to Chris Collinsworth. At least I didn't have to deal with that.
You didn't have to say his name because I didn't want to talk about him. But now, I could go on a 15-minute tirade right
now. I'm sure he was just loving on the Broncos all night long. I'm sure he's just totally enamored with us. But it was rough to watch. The fourth, going into the fourth quarter, what was the score then? 17-9 still?
Well, I want to talk real quick.
17-12. Yeah.
Just the bad feelings came back very quickly after halftime. We go 3 and out right away, 3 and out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and then they score a touchdown, and it was like, oh, I thought we'd fixed this going into halftime, and it was like, the bad feelings are back.
Yeah, there they are. There they are.
And then the Broncos offense did not prove us wrong. Then we go out 3 and out again, and then the momentum changing game play of the game again came on that next drive. That fumble. Who was it? DJ Jones? Was it really DJ Jones?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Yeah.
DJ Jones. That got the fumble there?
Yeah.
Yep.
To Josie Jewell. Yep, there it is. That turnover was huge. Led to again, we put ourselves in a good position defensively.
Yep.
Settled for the field goal, but at the end of the day, like, okay, now it's a 1-possession game again. Yes, technically it was a 1-possession game before, but I don't know.
It's a 1-possession game, but if Minnesota had gotten a field goal, it was a 2-possession game late in the game.
Right.
And thank God we have our defense that has turned things around the way they have.
Yeah.
And they stepped up and, look, what was it? They got the touchdown. Then, like you said, the fumble, the interception, they got that for us. Right. So they showed up clutch.
Yeah.
And that's, man, if they didn't do that, obviously just even letting them get into field goal range would have been disastrous for us, because there wasn't enough time for us to do anything at that point.
Yeah. Huge props to the defense, because it was like a whirlwind of emotions. Like, I didn't know how to feel at that point. It was like, all right, what, are they going to stop him? Are they okay, all of a sudden we get a fumble recovery. Okay, offense gets it. What, are they going to take advantage? No, we're going to settle for a field goal. Okay, so now we're putting the defense back on the field, and it's like we're up by 5. It's this weird score you don't see often, 17-12. Like, Are we just going to kick field goals every time? I don't know. And then we get the interception, and then McMillian, I swear.
Yep. Just comes up big.
Playmaker, man.
Comes up big.
Playmaker.
That's when I kind of started to feel like, look, if we can just get a touchdown, this defense is going to hold it for us.
Right.
And that's where I started to at least feel that. Maybe not believe it, but I started to feel that could be the case.
Right.
We were joking in the stands like, oh, we might just, win off of field goals. And that's why we're like, don't waste time. You're in field goal range. Don't worry about first, second, and third down. Just get Lutz out there, get the field goal, save about 3 minutes of time on the clock, and let's move on with our lives, because we might need that extra drive to get another field goal,
Okay.
That's what we were thinking. We're like, man, this offense cannot score a freaking touchdown.
I don't blame you, because guess what? Guess what they just did? After that interception in field goal range, I think it was like it was at like the 10-yard line, or was that a different turnover that we had? It was like deep in their territory. And it doesn't really matter because we go 4 and out or 3 and out, -1 yard, and kick a field goal. So, and yeah, you're right. We could have saved 2 minutes, and just gone out and kicked a field goal right away. It's just how the offense was flowing this game. So
yeah, it's like, we know how this is going to end. Like, you're allowed to kick a field goal on first down. Just go do it. Just go do it.
And then
but that says a lot. Like, we trusted Lutz. We were trusting Lutz. Like, man, just let Lutz do his. Let him do his thing.
By the way, if you have a kicker that's kicking 5 field goals in a game, you probably, like, statistically, you'd expect him to miss probably one of those.
One of them.
And you can't say enough about how he played yesterday.
In a bounce back game, yeah. That was.
And then the Vikings, but from there, the Vikings go down the field again. Holding them to a field goal there was just so clutch. It wasn't the prettiest drive defensively, but it got the job done at the end of the day, as we will shortly talk about. It put our team in a position to win, and then they freaking do it. So can we just talk about this last offensive drive for like 5 minutes at least?
Yes, I think it's we're at the good part of the show. If you stuck around this long,
50 minutes to get to when we're actually feeling
good. Yeah, man. So let's do it. Look, that last drive, holy crap. We started at the 25-yard line. They did not give a chance or let Marvin Mims really have a chance to return the ball at all this game, right?
He was not. He didn't do anything on special team, and it wasn't his fault. I mean,
they respect him. That's what that is. We're going to kick the ball way out of the end zone because we do not want him to get the ball, right? So early, let's see. We're pushed out of bounds, not much of a gain or no gain, incomplete pass. Then it's third down, and it's like, oh God, like it's 3rd and 10 on that first drive, and it's just like, don't tell me we're going to go 3 and out here.
I was so numb. I was so numb at this point, Kevin. I was just like, all right, well, I mean, I didn't know what they were going to do. I was like, okay, we're going to throw it 10 yards. If we complete it, great. If we get it the first time, great. We were terrible on third down this entire game, and Sean Payton called that out in his press conference afterwards. I mean, that was the key factor that he talked about. So it was like, okay, if we don't get it, are we going for it on 4th down? I don't know. Like, why? Unless it's like 3rd and 20.
Right.
Why not? Like, why not just go for it? Because what does it hurt? You can still hold them to a field goal, and it'll still be a 1-point game, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
So you're not in any worse of a position, I guess. So but yeah, that 3rd and 10 call. I mean, I was kind of surprised that they hadn't abandoned the run game at that point. They go out there and run the ball still, and it's just like, I mean,
nothing.
You never know. It can break free at any point, especially with Javonte.
It could. Oh yeah, for sure.
Then 3rd and 10, and we do a freaking running back draw play, and I'm just like, okay, interesting.
We're not even going to throw to the chains. Okay, like, cool, guys.
It's like interesting. It's like very clear that they were going for it on 4th down regardless.
For sure.
So trying to catch the defense off, I mean, in hindsight, I definitely like it, but at the time, I was like, this better work. Otherwise, you're going to be like, what the hell?
Yep, we're going to run you out of town. Yep.
But it did work, and that's what matters.
It did work.
Yeah, and then we go to Sutton, that next play, 13-yard catch.
I'll tell you what, when we got that first down, I knew we were going to get a touchdown. I knew that drive was going to be a success. That was the drive. That part is like, one, if we don't get fourth down, then obviously we turn over the ball. But just the way that they handled that, no huddle, going for it that quickly, the way it was a good pass too. It wasn't just for 3 yards. It was a 10-yard pass, right? So that was a huge confidence boost for the team, I think.
That was the second clutch catch for Sutton in the game when – yeah, it got called pass interference, but when I saw it on replay, I was like, it wasn't as much pass interference as I thought it was initially. It didn't matter. He caught it. Like, it was a beautiful one-handed catch.
One arm.
My God, he was so impressive in this game, just at the most opportune times. And we needed.
He's on fire.
That set up the drive moving forward because we saw plays on that drive that we did not see all game. And I don't know if the Vikings defense was just trying not to lose the game, but they weren't bringing the same rushes against Russ. I was actually surprised that they only had 2 sacks that game. I was very surprised. It felt like he was getting, and I think it goes back to the game plan. It was like, nope, we're just doing these quick passes. We know it's going to be brutal for him. Let's get the ball out of his hands. It felt like he was under pressure a lot more than that. And maybe he was. He just wasn't actually sacked. But
7 QB hits. So, yeah.
Yeah. But then
10.
Yeah, no, he definitely got hit. Don't get me wrong, but it felt like Samaje Perine just came alive in this drive. Every play that he was involved in was another 10-yard catch and run, and it's because like the defense was just off. They were either rushing the passer, or they had like half their team was rushing the passer and half the team was like deep in coverage, and it was like, give it to Perine, let him run 15 yards. And we saw that it felt like 2, 3, maybe even 4 times on that drive.
We did. Yeah. It was almost back to back, but you're right. I think the big thing there for the Vikings defense is they're playing not to lose.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't like that prevent defense. You go away from what was working so well, bringing that pressure, bringing people up to the line, saying, we dare you to do this, to going, well, let's just not let them get the touchdown. And then you're playing that softer coverage, you're deeper back, and you're opening up the middle of the field. That's allowing us to get that momentum and move the ball down the field. So I think in that position, they were playing not to lose versus playing to win. And I think that's ultimately what drove, caved them in at that point.
And the irony of all that is that, like, that's kind of the game plan I felt like we were going with the whole time, and it just ended up paying off in the most opportune time, the last drive of the game for our offense. And I guess the game plan worked for the offense. I guess that was the point. Like, wear him down. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but we didn't see that all game, and then all of a sudden it was just dump off passes. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, did Perine? Do we need to get him involved earlier on?
I'm surprised we didn't. Look, we're talking about the situation where he was really excelling in that last drive. There was the prevent defense that was opening up the middle of the field. But I'm surprised we didn't really see anything else from him the rest of the game, other than he was out there for blocking stuff. But we didn't throw him the ball. He only had 1 rush. When Javonte Williams it wasn't really working for him. I'm surprised we kind of didn't give him a chance to see if he could get something going, right? But when you're going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, these running backs need carries to get going, and when you're not on the field for more than 3 plays at a time, you don't get that. So,
yeah. And Sean Payton addressed that after the game too. He's like, look, when you're not successful on 3rd down, it's hard. It's hard to get the running game going when whatever the excuse was, it didn't matter. But I get where he's coming from. You can't sustain drives when you're going 3 and out every single time. So yeah, you can't get that momentum going for your running backs. So that's hard. But look, they basically did that what I loved about that drive, they had 3 minutes to go, and there was no feeling of like, go, go, go. There was no rush. It was just like, be methodical, like think through your progressions, do all the right things, and this is going to work out. And we just saw it come to fruition. It was really a beautiful. It might have been the best drive that we've seen of this offense all year. And I might have a little recency bias there, but I mean, it was just a very well thought out drive, and clearly the best drive of the game for this offense. So
yeah.
And then it comes to that 1st and 10 at the 15. That throw, I was terrified when it was in the air.
About halfway through that drive. Well, about halfway through that drive, the guy sitting next to me says, Courtland Sutton's going to get the touchdown. And I said, you know what? I agree. It's that 1st and 10 at the 15. And I go, here, it's going to happen here. We're going to throw to the end zone. It's going to be Courtland Sutton. You got it, man. What happened? I saw that ball leave Russ's hands flying to the end zone. I think I went in cardiac arrest. Honest to God. Everything just stopped. Like, what?
It felt like a dream. And honestly, of all the big catches that Sutton had in this game, that honestly seemed like the easiest one for him.
Yeah, it did.
You're just early on, and but that was just, if anyone's gonna do it, it's him. There was contention on the play, and he just powered through it, and I just, wow, the feeling when he caught that was like, I had a sleeping baby upstairs. I'm running around the house trying not to make noise.
Well, the noise in the stadium was just deafening.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, I know I've said it about 20 times, but the feeling in the stadium ever since the 4th quarter against the Chiefs is just been different. It's just, fans are really, really into it, and they're really trying to bring the noise and help the defense out. And when that touchdown happened, I mean, it was mass chaos in the stands. Jumping, screaming, absolute craziness, man. So, and I'll tell you what, second we got that touchdown, I was like, we win. There's no way our defense, after what they've done this game, there's no way our defense is going to go out there and not put up that final stand that wins us this game. It was a relief moment at that point. It was like, this is going to be a fun thing to watch because we're going to win,
It was a relief moment. It was a, wow, I think we just won this game. We go out and we do that 2-point conversion. That was awful. Just straight up awful play. Didn't matter. We were up by 1, but I don't know
what that 2-point try was. It was like, really? At least throw it into the end zone.
It is weird. I feel like we didn't just I know this isn't the case, but it felt like we just didn't know what to call there. We're all still celebrating Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, it's like, we got
to. We do have to do a 2-point conversion. But I don't know. It's this just the last 8 years, Kevin. There was nerves. It was like, oh crap! Did we leave too much time on the clock that Josh Dobbs is going to
thought about it.
Range? And
if it had been a more experienced quarterback, I would have said, I would have been a lot more.
So the feeling was not in the stadium that was going to be the case. By the way,
I don't think so.
You guys showed up on that, and not surprising at all. That last drive, the stadium on defense.
The defense,
when it was most important, when you need, that 13th player on the field in this stadium, or 12.
Yeah,
12
Hey, let's get 13. Let's be loud enough for 2 other players. Yeah, let's do it. No, the defense chant was, again, deafening. I mean,
they do a good job of stabilizing the cameras so you can't see it when the offense, when the actual plays are happening. But they tried to show Josh Dobbs' parents in the middle of that, and it was everywhere. I was like, they showed up. Yeah. So, I mean, and it took about 1 or 2 plays for me to be like, oh no, I don't think they are going to score on this drive. I think this is going to be another interception type of ending to a game. It wasn't, but it was. I mean, we finally brought pressure, which we didn't get on him at all the entire game. And I guess it's a lot easier when they're not going to run the football to do that. It makes you. I mean, I guess credit to Vance Joseph there to be like, we're still going to bring pressure. He hasn't seen it all game. We know they're not going to run the ball, so let's put the pressure on him now when it's, what a dream for like a defensive lineman to go out there, a pass rusher to go out there and be like, all I need to do, I don't have to worry about trying to worry if they're running the ball. I just need to get to the quarterback. And it worked out. We basically sacked Josh Dobbs, force a 3rd and 25. And it was like, if you guys screw up.
After screwing up a 3rd and 20 earlier? Yeah.
After the 3rd and 20 earlier, it was like, if you guys screw this up. But no, I had pretty good confidence at that point where we were in the game. And
yeah. One thing we didn't talk about that it really impressed me, that fake punt.
Oh.
And I said, watch for the fake.
Brutal.
And I call watch for the fake as the ball's being hiked, and then they run. I was like, no, I told you.
It was brutal.
Now,
in their own side of the field. Like they were on their 40, I think. Like, we did not see that coming. Like the Broncos did not see that coming in.
No,
well executed to their credit. But
I think that would have broken a lot of teams.
Well, and that was the drive that was like, we need to stop here. We got to stop.
Yep.
Okay, we got this. And it was like,
defense goes off. Defense is
I definitely counted my chickens before they hatched. I was like, all right, we got this. We're gonna get this drive. We're finally gonna put it all together. And it's like all of a sudden they get a 30-yard run on a fake punt. Like, what?
Yep.
Okay, maybe we're all right. Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, man, that was huge. It was very worrisome just because it was like, how is this team going to respond to that? The defense did a great job. They did not let it phase them. They went out there, they went back to work, they held them right. And it didn't phase the offense or anything. Like they were able to overcome that at the end of the game. It's not like it happened in the early part of the game and they struggled for a little bit and they overcame that instantaneously.
Yeah.
That says a lot about it. So what we're seeing here, John, is a team that is not ready for a deep playoff push. But you're seeing everything that we've been talking about for the past 7 years, well, at least 5 years, in that we have got to change the culture. Mm-hmm. We have got to learn how to win games in those close situations. We've got to learn how to overcome adversity before we can really look at expanding this team into being much more dynamic, much more fluid on offense, being able to do some more complicated things, and elevating us to that next level. And going on this 4-game win streak, beating the teams that we've beat, you can't just say we beat the Chiefs because Mahomes had a flu, a little baby cold, poor little baby, right? We played them hard. Like we got to them, right? The Bills, you can say, oh yeah, well, the Bills are just really banged up and beat up and, blah, blah, blah. You guys got 4 turnovers and that's why you won. Okay, well, here we are. We're playing the team that had a 5-game win streak, was absolutely on fire, and we beat them. At what point are people going to start saying this team is finally a team to start not counting out, take the playoff conversation out of the way and just saying, by this time next year, this team can be really freaking good because we're building that. You can't just get a ton of talent and throw them into a room and say, go win football games. You have to build that culture organically and internally. Yeah. And that's where it is paying off dividends because these guys now, and just seeing their faces, and I mean, they believe in themselves. And for the first time in 7 years, the players on this team really believe that they can go out there and beat anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to look at this Lions game, and I don't get too far ahead of myself, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at the rest of the schedule. I'm looking at this Lions game that even before this last game, we were saying that's a loss. Dude, any given Sunday, and this team goes out there and plays an A game, it could be a fun day.
This Lions team that almost just blew it against the who was it? Oh, the Bears.
The Bears.
It's the NFL. The NFL's weird like that. You never can tell. Granted, divisional game. We don't have to talk about that for them. But no, I like. It feels like a culture of winning, and that's what we wanted with Sean Payton. That's what we expected with Sean Payton. In hindsight, it seems like it took a little longer than we all were expecting to catch on, which maybe that's just how it works when you have a team that has been so pitiful, for so long. maybe you have a guy like Garrett Bowles saying, I'm just so sick of losing. Like, maybe that's how long it just takes to change that culture. I hope that's the answer. I hope that's the reason what's going on here. It feels that way for the first time, and I don't know. Rule, I guess.
Peyton Manning era?
Yeah. But one guy that we haven't talked about and deserves a lot of conversation, we don't have time to talk about him, but Justin Simmons is part of that winning culture, and he is part of this defensive turnaround, and he is part of why we won yesterday. That final drive, he shut down TJ Hawkinson. Every time there was a catch, and it was a doable catch, and he just hit the ball out of his hands multiple times on that final drive, and it's like, Simmons is going to win us this game, whether it's an interception or just a 4-and-out, because he had it, man. He had it, and so much so that they put him out there on the final play of the game as a running back during the kneel down to say, look, you are the leader of this defense. You are the culture we want. And I love rewarding a guy like that. And he deserves it. And man, I just get so excited.
See, you can't get to that point until you build that winning mindset and that overcoming adversity mindset, right? And that's the point where we are now, where there's going to be a lot more adversity coming down the pike. We're not going to win out the rest of the season, right? We're just to be a realist, we're not.
Never
say never.
Doesn't seem impossible, Kevin.
Never say never. But I'm trying to be a realist in if this team does face a loss, how do they bounce back from that? And from what I'm seeing in game, in terms of their mentality and their attitude, and when things don't go right for them, the way they stick through to the very end and keep bringing it all the way till that clock says 0, that's something you cannot get overnight. That is not something that just happens, right? Hey, we're down, but we still believe in ourselves, even after everything else has gone poorly for us, right? So that's where I'm saying this team, no matter how this year ends, if they continue with that attitude, they win some more games, they have that mentality going into the offseason. You give Sean Payton the entire offseason with this team and the ability to, draft players that he wants and make changes that he wants. Next year's going to be fun. Next year's going to be fun.
Yeah. And Clayton said it way earlier. And Clayton, if you're still around, we appreciate you. Thank you for watching. But coaching, I mean, it's night and day this year. And I didn't believe it at first. It took a while for me to come around on this, but
well, for good reason.
For good reason. Well, the winning mentality is it's here. And I think just being prepared on so many situations that we saw last week in the kicking game. It's a different mindset this year. It's what we've been missing, quite frankly. Now you match that up with Russ, who has that clutch gene. At least he did in Seattle, and we saw it. I mean, I think just ending that game the way we did on offense, I just hope that we accelerate that into the next game. Because imagine if we do if this offense does put it together.
This offense freaking puts it together with this defense. We could throw up 70 points on someone. I'm serious. This offense is fully capable of it. And this is something we can talk about on tomorrow night's show. So make sure everybody's there tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time for Bourbon Broncos and OBS. But yeah, what is the driving factor? What is the underlying cause as to why this offense just cannot seem to get into a rhythm?
Yeah.
So that'll be a topic for tomorrow night for sure. But yeah, it is crazy, man.
I think we've been playing harder defenses than we've given credit to. And we have another hard one coming up this week against the Browns. Defensively, they're one of the top, pass rush especially. So that's where we're susceptible. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tough game. It's a very similar situation as to what we just saw with the Vikings. We just got to be more successful and get some touchdowns.
Yeah. Now it just move the ball. I like the mentality of being methodical. I like the mentality of just, not forcing the ball, right? Even in those, on that last drive, there are a couple times where you could tell Russ just really wanted to throw that ball to someone, right? But either, did the check down or threw it away or whatever the case. And it's like, okay, we have a quarterback that is making smart decisions. And that's another thing we just haven't had in recent years. Players like Drew Lock, who is that gunslinger mentality, but is not smart about when he's taking those chances. So maybe Russ is turning more into that game manager, but that's okay, right? We just need to find a way to get better than 17% on third downs conversions, move the ball, give the defense a better chance to rest. That's only going to energize them more.
I think
that's the last big hurdle. Look, we fixed the special teams. I would like to say, I think we can definitively say at this point, we have fixed the defense. At least, the fixes we're putting in place are working, and hopefully they are permanent. The offense is the one that is still just like, guys, it is week 12 now, and
gotta imagine third down is an emphasis in practice this week. Gotta imagine that.
It has got to be.
But hey, they clean that up, and it's a different. I mean, that really hasn't been a problem this year either. By the way, third downs, not to the level that it was yesterday. So, gotta think that they're going to clean that up a bit and be a more successful offense, and not be relying on 5 turnover games, 3 turnover games to keep us in it. So, just let's keep the momentum. Yes, our defense carried us the last 2 games, but put it together as a team. And you're right. There's no team in the NFL that we can't be competitive against and beat, frankly.
So breaking news, everyone. It's going to happen on here. John, sir, you were right. You were correct. And for anyone who doesn't know, before the show started, score of the Chiefs game was 17-7. And I said, there's no way. There's no way. Philadelphia is done. The game's over. Chiefs have the ball. They're going to get a field goal. It's going to be 20-7. The game's going to be over. Well, not only did a former Bronco, Bradley Roby, steal a touchdown from Travis Kelce and force him to fumble in the end zone, but the Eagles came back, baby, 21-17. Chiefs go down. That game is officially over. I would not want to say anything until that game was officially over. And 33 seconds. Philly has the ball. They're just kneeling it out because the Chiefs have no timeouts. That game is over. That means the Broncos are not only okay, let's look at this weekend. Raiders lose. Chargers lose. Chiefs lose. Broncos win. We're not only in second place in the AFC West, we are only 2 games behind the Chiefs. 2 games behind the Chiefs.
Is this the greatest weekend in Broncos history?
This is the greatest weekend. This is the greatest weekend in Broncos football in years. Broncos this week have run the AFC West. Oh my gosh. So thank you, Philly. Tip of the hat to you guys coming through clutch for us. I didn't believe in you. You proved me wrong. John, you were right. That game was not over. They held the Chiefs.
You said it was over at 17-7.
Yeah. I did not expect the Eagles to allow 17 points in the first half and then no points in the second half. So they did a turnaround. And if I'm the Broncos, I'm looking at this and saying, not only do we feel like we could beat anyone right now, not only are we playing, minus the offense, our best football this team has seen in 7 years, we are in striking distance of first place. Now, obviously, well, I don't know how the tiebreaker works since, it's a 1-1 versus them and us, but we are in striking distance of number 1 in the AFC West. Now, look, it's the Chiefs. Lots of season left, right? We expect them to do a whole lot more winning. But look at the position we put ourselves in. I just want to end the show on that. Like, look at the position we put ourselves in, being a 1-5 football team at week 6.
I don't know what else you can say, Kev. It's been amazing. I did not think we'd be in this position. Maybe to start the season, I would have thought this, but it was not that long ago that we were talking about tanking for the number 1 overall pick, and here we are.
And firing everyone, and was Sean Payton the worst?
Firing Joseph, I was wrong on that one, I will gladly say that I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
Starting to question Sean Payton, is he the guy? Russ, I mean, I've been a Russ believer this year. I'm one of the few, it feels like sometimes, with Broncos fans. But
we don't win that game if Russ isn't if he's not Russ. There was no run game. If Russ wasn't playing his top-notch game, we don't win against the Vikings. Not to say that the win is solely because of Russ, but there's no way the ball would have gone to the hands of the playmakers. There's no way we would have gotten that touchdown drive and the drive before the half, all that stuff, right? So look, Russ isn't washed. Is he what he was when he was 25? No. He's coming up on 35. He's older, but he's adjusting well, I think, and Sean Payton is doing a lot of good work with him.
Yeah, this team as a whole has turned it around in general, in my opinion. Offense needs to catch up to the defense, but we have proven that we can still win games when they're not, a top 5 offense. When they're an average offense, which is all we've been asking for, and that's what we are getting this season, and we are seeing the results. It's just, let's keep it going. Oh my God, I can't believe we're here.
Keep it going. If this offense gets it together.
I've never been more excited to be at 500 in a season.
Considering that we were 1-5, you have every reason to be more excited about any 500 team that you've ever seen.
I agree.
I really do. So
100% agree.
Hey guys, we went a little long tonight because there was just so much to talk about. The Broncos are on a 4-game win streak. We have to live in the moment and just enjoy it. I'm glad you all are here and watching us. Remember, we have all of this other content. Make sure you subscribe in the link below, scrolling across the bottom there, so you can see our daily content that we push out, all the videos and everything. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Mountain Time for Bourbon, Broncos And No B.S. Don't forget about the pregame podcast, the pregame show, the tailgate talk, and then our halftime show as well, the halftime hash. Jared, I think we'll be doing that with you guys again this next weekend as the Broncos get ready to take on the Dogs. And there's a lot to talk about with what's been going on with the Browns. Yes, Watson is out for the season, but we'll leave the conversation for tomorrow, and that's how we're going to leave you tonight. So with that being said, I don't think there's anything else to say other than to end it, as we always do, sir, on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Do what I like, yeah, do what I like, yeah, do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go.